Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bitcoin for Family show, where every guest is your new BFF. That's your Bitcoin friend forever. I'm Scott from SHAmory, and it's an honor to have you all here again. Thanks to everyone who has been listening or watching. I hope you're finding the show fun and educational. For today's show, I'm going to bring on a father of two from across the pond that has been a supporter of SHAmory since our launch in 2020. And besides being an amazing dad, he is also the creator of the Bitcoin Ballers Youth Football Club and helps the Oxbit MeetUp. Welcome to the show, Josias. How you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for that intro. Thanks for having me on. Very honoured, especially as you said, I've been a supporter, fan of you guys from 2020, helping me journey down my rabbit hole. Yes, it's great to see your success and what you guys are up to, and great to be part of this project now.
Yes, no, it's been an honor to have you along and being a supporter of the Ballers Club on our side of things and seeing the kids do their awesome work. And even going back to just like we mentioned this on the show with Daniel and Lauren, but having your daughter be a part of the Goodnight Bitcoin video that's out there on our website, along with the Princey kids. And so it goes back to the day we all launched the everything on SHAmory and seeing, you mentioned Bitcoin Ballers, for those that don't know, is coming up on a 4-year anniversary. And so about the same age as SHAmory. So it's fun to grow along with people like Josias. Cool. Well, before we dive into everything, we'll start with some icebreakers. But even before that, give the people just a sense of kind of your family life, if whatever you're familiar or comfortable talking about, your kids' ages, that sort of thing, just to set the scene, and then we can dive into the questions.
So yeah, as you said, father of two. I have a young son. He's turning 20 this year. A daughter who's 14. Time has flown by. When I went down the rabbit hole, they were a lot younger and I would say a lot more impressionable. I hope they've taken a lot on board of what I've learned and filter down to them. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey for myself as an individual, and then as a father and as a family. Things we've experienced, people we've met, places we've been, we wouldn't have done without Bitcoin and the Bitcoin network, the people that support Bitcoin. I understand it. It's been great meeting people like yourself.
Exactly. No, I'm sure we'll get into a lot of that around the football side of things and being a father as we go into the questions here. So let's start off in a fun way with some icebreakers and see where that takes us. So number one, if you could have any superpower to make parenting or coaching easier, what would it be and why?
Ability to read people's minds, because I do a lot of coaching with young people and adults, and I deliver something or say something and think it's understood and realize it's not when they go to execute. So to be able to understand what's going on in their mind right now, they might be thinking, I have no idea what you're saying. I wish you'd explain it a lot more clearly or a lot more simply instead of simpler. That would help me to deliver, because sometimes they'll be, do you understand? They'll be nodding, yeah, I get it. And then you watch them execute the move or the exercise, and you think, that's not what I said to do, but you told me you understood it.
Exactly. And I'm sure the feeling's probably mutual, especially from your kid's side of things, wanting to be able to read your mind sometimes. No, that's a good one. Okay, number two. What's one healthy snack or meal you've convinced your kids or the players you coach to love, and how did you pull it off? Is there something that comes to mind?
Healthy snacks. Fruit. Fruit is just underrated. Go-to snack for kids, for that sweet taste that you want. That other snacks want you to have for their sugar rush. But yeah, there's often at the weekend actually a nice mango. I hadn't bought a mango for ages. I had a mango, cut that, and my wife took a video for social media. Said, "You're having fun there." And I literally, but at the same time, we both said, "Living my best life in the sunshine, cutting up a mango."
There you go. No, mangoes are big in our house with our two little ones. They can eat multiple a day if we let them. The tough part with mangoes is, like you mentioned, cutting it is never fun. They're not they're not one of the fun fruits to cut, to be able to get around. But working around the pit too, you always want to have the ones that are there. So good answer. Next one. If you could teleport your family anywhere for a 1-day adventure, where would you go?
It's got to be El Salvador. I haven't been yet. I did say to Bukele many times in response on Twitter that I would visit them soon. For various reasons, haven't been able to, but I do hope to get there this year. I've said that every year, but hopefully this year, later on this year, I'll make it there. So if we could teleport, even better, the whole family, just to experience it and say we've been to a Bitcoin land, and to see the progression that they've made since accepted Bitcoin as legal tender.
Perfect. We had a similar question for Daniel and Lauren, and their answer was also El Salvador. We asked them where they'd want to home swap. So they were going to home swap down there. I said we'd meet them. So now you can meet them too, and all three of us can just bum a ride off the Prince family.
Yeah. Um, I'm sure it will happen as well.
Exactly.
When it happens, we'll take a photo for prosperity, right?
Yep, for sure. Cool. Next one. What's the funniest excuse you've heard from either your kid or one you coach for skipping a workout or missing a practice? And did you keep a straight face?
Well, that's a good one. I've had some great excuses. I'm gonna actually tell one from a player that I used to play with.
Okay, that's
Um,
perfect.
so he was quite a privileged young man. You wouldn't know, but his parents are quite well off, and he didn't make it to training once because the gated access to his house broke down, so he couldn't leave his house, leave his house, leave the grounds, so he couldn't make it to training. It
That
did it didn't go well down well with the management, but the players had fun with
yes, that is a privileged excuse, if I'd say. So the golden gate would not open up for me to until you get there. Good one.
that.
I like it. Cool. Last icebreaker before we dive into more stuff. If you woke up one day and your family had replaced all of your Bitcoin with Monopoly money, what's the first thing you'd do to prank them back?
Replaced.
Yep, your Bitcoin's gone. It's turned into Monopoly money.
Okay,
You got to get them
that
back.
that doesn't sound like a prank. That sounds like ready for a fuck it. I'd hand it back to them and say, here's your generational wealth. Here's your inheritance. Spend it how you wish. I'm out to go and do some more proof of work to earn some fiat in the mine to buy some more Bitcoin.
That's there you go. Hit them where that hurts with giving them the paperback. Perfect. Well, great questions or great answers from the icebreaker side of things. I think that everybody will enjoy that. Let's kind of transition into getting to know you and the family and the coaching and everything a little deeper. To start with, can you share the story of how you first discovered Bitcoin and how it started to shape your perspective as a father and as a coach?
Yeah, so like many in the space, I had various touch points that I didn't look into further, I didn't ask questions, or wasn't inquisitive enough, and I purely put that down to time. I didn't have the time to spend to ask questions or learn about it. I wasn't inclined to do that. My last touch point was in 2020 around the COVID time, pandemic, or whatever you want to call it. I'd left my job as a construction project manager. That would be in a former life. I had some free time, and a friend of mine said, "Who wants to speak about crypto?" So I said, yes. It was in a group chat. And privately, he messaged me and said, "Do your own research." From that, I did a month deep dive, listened to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading books. And after the month, I was probably doing 10, 15 hours a day, just listening to reading. At the end of the month, I was like, whoa, this is it. Bitcoin, this is what I want to work with, I want to learn more about, I want to tell people about. This is what's going to save the world. And then I was just seemed like a crazy madman because I was sending Robert Breedlove's Masters of Slaves of Money, his Sailor series, YouTube series to friends and family. And nobody had time to watch, say, 15 hours of content. So then over the years, I've learned to change tack. And that's how I started Bitcoin Borders. It led from a conversation with John Vallis when he said, provide value in your community. And at that point, I realized it was football. That's what I was going to do. Other people were doing things with music, with art, literature. But for me, I'm passionate about football. I love football. I can see the synergy between Bitcoin and football. We talk about proof of work. We talk about discipline, talk about time preference, all that just in both elements. So I thought, yeah, that's it. Yeah, going back in time, so back in 2020, it was just a whirlwind of learning and education and meeting so many people, listening to Daniel Prince, who then listened to his podcast. I haven't made aware of you guys. So many people in the space who I speak with now, I've probably found out about them by listening to the Once Bitten podcast. Then reached out to Daniel, just a random message to say, I think I want to come on your show. I don't know what I want to say, but I just want to tell the world how grateful I am. And that led to then other people messaging me, reaching out, joining Bitcoin learning groups. And the last 5 years, they've flown by. It's been a whirlwind. But for me, as I said at the start of the call, the experiences I've had, my family have been because of Bitcoin, and we've had some great time. My daughter came with me to Madeira for Bitcoin Atlantis. That was an incredible moment for her. She met other children who were being world schooled, and we are now looking into that option for her as towards the end of her education here in the UK to see how we could supplement her education with things that she likes to do, that she's passionate about, and that she can not get a grading from, but get experience from and exposure at a young age that would wouldn't necessarily be able to do until she was older. But actually, let's take responsibility for our child's own education. So I had a chat with Princey the other day and said, "Coach, you're on the right track. You know what to do."
Yep, it's already in the back of your head. No, perfect story. Um, and just seeing it all come to life over the years, like I mentioned earlier, has been awesome to see. And as you obviously you started going down the rabbit hole first in 2020, was there initial resistance from your immediate family members when you started to talk to them about it? And how did you kind of weave the family into this side of things over the years?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was resistance. It was more a case of, okay, we understand that you're passionate about it. We trust you as a person. We know what you like. So if you're this passionate about it, there must be a reason why. But again, it's time. A lot of my family didn't have as much time as they have now. A lot of my family members have changed careers since I have and have thanked me for it. And I'm like, don't blame me. But no, we've seen what you can do. We've seen how happy you are following your passion. We've done the same thing. But yeah, most of the family are understand Bitcoin, and they probably say they don't understand it that much. But if you put them in a room full of free coiners, as I call them, not no coiners, and I've been in rooms where my son, my daughter, and my wife have spoken to people, and I'm like, you understand it. It's a bit like that scene in the Matrix where they're hovering over Neo, and Neo said, "Oh, I understand kung fu" when he's in the simulation. I'm watching my family members thinking, "You understand it. You understand it more than what you think you do." So I know those the seeds that I've dropped, they've been sown, and they've understand quite a bit, and they help me when I do my events. They're there, doing registrations, doing some of the demonstrations, and they're doing the videos. So whether they know it or not, it's the Bitcoin knowledge is seeping into them.
No, I know the exact feeling. When you can see the future on their behalf. You just
Yeah,
don't know when that future will happen.
yeah.
Yep, perfect, cool. And as a father, just kind of shifting away from Bitcoin as a whole and that side of things, but just generally as a father, is there a life lesson that you're most passionate about passing along to your son and daughter? And how do you try to model that or teach that to them, kind of in the everyday life?
I think the biggest one is be hopeful. We say Bitcoin is hope. My wife has a couple of times made a comment to me like, "Why are you so happy?" And I make the comment sometimes, "It's great, isn't it?" And she'll say, "What?" I said, "Life." But Bitcoin has hope. There was periods of my life where it was in a job role that I didn't like, and the future, I could see the future. It was set out, but it didn't excite me. And so days would just turn into weeks, into months, into years. And there was, not to say, I don't like to use the word depression, because the things in life were good. We'd celebrate birthdays, we'd celebrate anniversaries. But the actual work aspect, it was dread. I was filled with dread when I looked to the future thinking, I'm going to be doing this job forever. Whereas now I have a role as a fitness instructor, football coach, which I love doing. This may not last forever, but the role that I've then incorporated to educating with Bitcoin and networking within the Bitcoin community and thinking about, okay, we're talking about traveling to El Salvador, been to Madeira, I go to Amsterdam, go to Prague, meeting up with like-minded people with a purpose to educate, but ultimately help change the world. It makes me so excited. So what I want to pass on to my children, they may not be as passionate about Bitcoin as I am. They may not want to have a role in Bitcoin, but find a job or ikigai, as we call it. Find your ikigai and follow it with all your might, with all your heart, and you'll be happy in life. My son, he wants to be a professional footballer. He's doing everything that he can to do that. That may not happen, but I would like him to pursue that for as long as possible. I gave up on that dream maybe way too early. I joked with Daniel when I was on One Splitting that I still think I could be a pro footballer. I know there are restraints. That's not going to happen now. But for him, still being a young man, don't give up on that dream too early, like I did, where I kind of settled and thought, what's not going to happen. Where it it probably could have if I would have done things differently. We look back in hindsight, you can't change anything, but you can pass on that knowledge to the next generation. So yeah, for the next generation, anyone listening now, just follow your passion, follow your dream for as long as you can. And I believe that Bitcoin is a great vehicle to allow you to do that. We don't talk about price action, but we talk about saving the time and energy. If you do that at a young age, over time, when it gets to a fork in the road or life-changing decision moment where you say, can I continue to pursue this path and maybe not be paid or be recompensed as much as I should, but another year or two, if you have that back in your savings that you can very possibly use, that has been saved in Bitcoin over time, that could be the difference. And I think if people understand that at a young age, it will allow them to do so much more. And we go talk about Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert talking about the Renaissance 2.0. That was because people were able to spend time on their passions, on things they were good at, and not worrying about their money being deflated away and having to get on the rat race. Which I look back on my life, my friends around me, even people that are older than me, like my mother, my uncles, I think, yeah, maybe you were put on that path or you went on down that road because you had to, because there was no alternative because your money would be in the base. But at that time, you didn't know it. I didn't know it until a few years ago. So if we can educate young people now, allow the next generation coming through to make their life better, which in turn makes the world better. And it sounds very, what's the word I'm looking for? Cool, possibly, or yeah, rose-tinted glasses and all that. But the more you study Bitcoin, the more you see what's going on in the space, you think, yeah, there is a lot of hope out there.
Yeah, no, I think you did two perfect nails on the head between, having the hope and having the positivity, no matter what it is you're trying to do, whether it's educational, family life, your job. If you have those things as the ground, the basis, then you're off to a good start. So I think that's a perfect message for everybody. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember, when we first connected 5 years ago, I believe you were, like you said, you're in between trying to figure out what you wanted to do professionally, get to something happier. And I think I remember you going through a process of going on interviews and posting some of that on Twitter and like kind of seeing that come to life and being able to, see where you are now from the
Yeah,
outside as somebody who knows you is awesome to see. And a large part of that, like you've mentioned a few times, is football. I'm saying football as a courteous to you since we're here in America. We will clarify soccer, football. So for anybody wondering, we are talking about soccer if you're in America, football everywhere else. But we've mentioned Bitcoin Ballers Academy a few times as being one of those passion projects of you, which is such a unique blend of the financial aspect in Bitcoin, along with your passion for football and coaching. Let's dive deeper. Kind of what specifically inspired you to start that, and why do you think it's important for kids and families to be a part of it?
yeah. As I said, I was on a call with Daniel Prince, and we had a surprise guest, and it would have to be John Vallis. And I tell this story to Norwegians, and they like, who is this guy? But for me, and other people on the call, like, oh gosh, John Vallis on the call. I've been in this space maybe a few months, but I knew who John Vallis was. And we had to introduce ourselves and say what we do. I said, my name is Josias. I'm just out of construction. I want to provide value back. I want a Bitcoin job, but I'm not a developer or engineer. What can I do? And he said, I'll provide value in your community. And that night, the penny dropped. I didn't sleep, and I knew straight away it's football. I know the connections. So I created an Instagram account. We launched on the 21st of April 2021, block height 680005. Um, if you check that, the actual timestamp, it's a cool time on the 21st of April. And then from there, it was just a case of how can I educate or provide value to people? And it was just an Instagram account, and you could earn sats by just liking some posts. Then I went to actually, can you do some certain skills? Use them like certain for the demo videos. Can you recreate the skill? How many kick-ups can you do? Or how many times can you keep the ball in the air? And then it led to a meeting with Coin Corner at an event in the UK, and they sponsored the team through Geyser as a fund. So actually, Bitcoin charity crowdfunded. That enabled us to buy a strip. So a strip with our logo on the Coin Corner sponsored on the front. So we could then enter teams into competitions. And then what I also discovered is some teams entered tournaments and play games and didn't have a kit, so they would ask me. So we were orange pinning remotely. Teams were borrowing our football kit to play in tournaments and with the Bitcoin Borders logo. And I started hosting tournaments. I had a local kids one. And we were going to enter in men's tournaments. It was like wherever we go, we're going to be seen. We're going to be the Bitcoin Borders team. Doesn't matter your age, your gender, your ability. Once you put on the shirt, by default, you are a Bitcoin baller. So yeah, we've had fun over the last 4 years. As I said, it's taken me to Amsterdam, done a couple of tournaments there. We did a tournament in Madeira. We did the kids and adults tournament. Should be in Prague in a couple of months' time. And then locally this summer, there's lots of tournaments where we're going to play in. And it's a case of me saying this is the tournament and then finding the players. But anybody can be a Bitcoin wallet. So it's been fun. Sometimes we took to a tournament and we've had 3 players, but we found 4 other people that are just milling around. They've chucked some boots on, and the best one was that happened. And we actually won the tournament. We turned up with not enough players, found some
Nice.
players that were willing to play, and actually won the tournament. But going back to what I want to promote to people is to say, well, we're talking about proof of work. When you enter the pitch, you show your proof of work, but your proof of work doesn't come from nothing. You have to have your training behind you, right? So your training is doing your own research. You have to spend time to understand what you're doing. And when you do train, and when you do learn new skills, you have to take ownership of those skills. Like you can't just do kick ups on the pitch when you're playing. You'll have to learn how to pass the ball properly. So know when to do things, know when not to do them, but take ownership of your decisions and then be disciplined. Be disciplined on the pitch. We talk about your Bitcoin education with your knowledge. Are you going to be disciplined with your savings? Are you DCAing or are you going to go all in smash buy? There's so many connections that I make. Some of the games we play a game called 21 Seconds to Glow. How many skills can you do in 21 seconds? Another one, my favorite one, is peer-to-peer challenge, which I'm promoting at the moment. How many times can you successfully transfer the ball between you and a partner? And some young ballers in Uganda who set the standard for us at the start of the year. So I was able to set them up with a mobile wallet, wallet Satoshi, send them some sats. I wouldn't have been able to do that any other way and wouldn't have been able to engage them, but now they're holding those sats. And obviously, if you understand Bitcoin and see say the exchange rate or price action from January to now, their proof of work 4 months ago has increased in value, right? So every time we engage with somebody, we are educating, hopefully orange pilling, but providing a bit of value in return as well.
That's perfect. And for those, since, hopefully the purpose of this show is to reach not just the Bitcoin audience, but expand outside of that. For those that don't fully understand what Josias just said at the end there, he essentially saying, by posting this content on whether it's X or Instagram or everywhere else, which Josias is so great at, he was able to connect with some kids in Uganda, which he would have never had the chance to do, one, because of social media, but then secondarily, they won the challenge, and without any middleman, he was able to then send them money, in this case, sats, whether that was a penny or $10 or $20, it doesn't matter. But, from peer to peer, he was able to send that across the world to some kids that he's never personally met before, no help from a company. And that, is expanding their horizons, both from a financial side of things, but also, they're engaging online, they're getting healthy, they're seeing this activity. So it's a very positive cycle all around, as far as I see it. And for those that aren't aware, go follow Bitcoin Ballers, whether it's on X or Instagram, to see the work that Josias is putting out and support it, and see those
And
challenges.
maybe earn some sats as well. Then one of the
Exactly.
posts I put the hardest thing that is the hardest thing with what I've done with Bitcoin Warders is giving sats away. I struggle. Um, And it's not a case of me giving people something for nothing, because I have done that in the past. But I believe through some sort of work. So when I first started, it was literally engage with the page, share this post, and you would earn something. And there were so many people that didn't even do that. One, because they didn't understand or they didn't want to engage with a Bitcoin page. Whereas now I was like, okay, I've done that part. Now you're gonna have to put some proof of work, actual proof of work in to earn it. So some have done it and won, and others are looking. They're liking the posts, they're sharing the post, but they're not actually doing the activity. And I keep going back to the start of the year post in January when we started, where it was 210,000 sats is the bounty for the year. So if you have the highest score at the end of the year, you'll earn that 210,000 sats. Now, the first point of call I think people will do is look at what is 210,000 sats? What is that value in fiat terms? And you may not engage, but towards the end of the year, that 210,000 sats might be a considerable amount. So you may want to actually engage in the challenge. So I'm guessing, like when you speak to event organizers, they say the majority of the tickets get sold right a week before the start of the event. I'm hoping to get loads of entries maybe in December time when it comes towards the end of the challenge, if people trying to earn those or win that 210,000 sat prize.
No, and that's like you said, it's a valuable prize today, even sitting where we're at, so who knows where it can go by the end of the year. And years ahead. So good luck to everybody in capturing that bounty on that side of things. And as you think about all your work, whether it's with Bitcoin Ballers or with Doxbit Meetup, is there a way that you being involved with that has brought your family closer together? Obviously, your son is a part of the football side of things,
Yeah,
but
my
any
son,
other ways?
he's the poster boy for Bitcoin Wallace. He's been with us obviously since it launched 4 years ago. With him doing the skills, whenever we do the tournaments, he's playing in the team. He brings the majority of the players along because he brings his friends, and he's one of the better players. And it's helped us win lots of tournaments. I might put in sometimes I go in goal if we're short of a goalkeeper. But yeah, we'll credit down to Jaden or Baller Carbon as we call him. But yeah, bringing a family together. So I mentioned going to Madeira with my daughter and my mother. When I have the Oxford meetup, when we celebrated the Bitcoin Sweet 16 earlier on in the year, my daughter came. We had a cake. I let her blow out the cake because it was around her birthday time as well. So when we do have the events, members of my family are there supporting. When we do the football events, my family are there. So yeah, I say put them together because they're working for me now, but they're also working for Bitcoin.
Exactly. No, we know that all too well. Dragging our kids along to conferences and
Yeah.
things like that, but they love it.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
so
it's not a bad place to be dragged to, is it? An island
exactly,
in the Atlantic.
exactly. And there's more and more kids that are showing up that they get to play with and go from there. No, it's a beautiful thing. Um, you mentioned a few times, kind of, besides doing the football side of things with the kids, but you also work as fitness coach and combining all of that. Is there an approach, whether it's teaching kids or adults, around kind of healthy eating or healthy eating exercise that really you live by, and a success story that stands out?
Again, bringing Bitcoin to it, I use lots of. I think we all do it. We all use terminology that then we attribute to Bitcoin now, but we probably used it before. But let's talk about time preference. So even in the class I've just done this evening, I've said your future self. Thank you for this workout right now. So I wanted to picture them having a new outdoor pool at our gym, and I joke and say, picture yourself by the pool. How would you want to look and feel? But right now, this is the work you need to put in to get to that state. So you're thinking about, okay, time preference, and then relating that to your health and nutrition. You have to take ownership of how you feel your body. Um, if you want to feel and look a certain way, we know there are certain foods you can eat or certain food groups. I'm not saying you have to live like a saint or a monk, but you're going to have to take responsibility. If you have a target or goal in 3 months' time to look a certain way and you don't because you haven't exercised, you haven't eaten well, but that's down to you. You are responsible for responsibility. You are responsible for what goes in. You are responsible for the energy you exert out. And I tell that to the young people in the class. I say it to the adults. They know a lot of people who see my posts and follow me know me as the Bitcoin guy. But when I'm talking, they don't always know that. Oh, actually, this is Bitcoin terminology he's using when he talks about time preference, or when I say to someone, "I'll go and do your own research."
No, that's perfect. Do you find it, since you're working with a wide range of ages across your different platforms, do you find it easier to get those points across to the kids or the adults?
I would say kids, and a lot of kids are understanding of what I'm doing because they're on their devices, they're online. Prime example, when I went to one of my first events, I was helping a friend with a training session, and one of the parents was there, and I started talking about Bitcoin. Do you know, I know about Bitcoin through my son because he plays Roblox, and they have Bitcoin signs or language on the games. But he'd told about it at 8 years old. So she understand that Bitcoin came from an 8-year-old son, not from the news, not from YouTube. It's from her son talking about it. So I think the young people, because they understand like the gamification, they understand rewards through games. They talk about the tokens and I can't remember the currency that you use on Roblox. Um, show my age now, but yeah, they understand getting rewards for doing stuff on games, and they understand native currencies to games. So bringing Bitcoin in when they're doing games with me, and I tip them 21 sats, and I say, "Oh, just scan that QR code." All these skills they're already using, they know it's native to them. Whereas a lot of older people struggle to get their head around it, or think, "Oh, it's a bit different than what I'm used to," so I'm not quite sure. I'm a bit skeptical. Whereas I think young people take it on board better. And again, using my daughter as an example, when she was maybe I think it was 9, she said, "Dad, can I have the app that makes the money go up?" I said, "Sorry." She said, "Yeah, the app like yours with the money goes up. Can I have that?" And so I gave her one at Satoshi, and she's had that for years. And we've been playing with sats. When we went to Madeira, she was then the sats that she earned for over those years. She was buying ice creams for my mum with the QR codes around the event. And I know there are a lot of Bitcoiners, and I find it funny because we're probably from the same school, right? 2020, class of 2020, possibly. For me, Lightning was already native to Bitcoin. A lot of apps were around that, and I was playing with them. But I know there are a lot of Bitcoiners that haven't used Lightning yet. With my daughter at 9 years old saying, I want that app that makes the money go up. And she can use it, and she knows how it works, and she goes to events and can buy ice cream. So the next generation coming through are going to elevate and spread Bitcoin even further with their use cases.
They definitely they're growing up like you said with it in the back of their hands. We see it firsthand, having especially Charlotte. Zoe's a little too old. She's a year and a half, so she's has some time to catch up. But Charlotte's going on 6, and she says similar things to us. She has her wallet. She understands things go up, and we tell her they can go down too. In short, it's not just all fun. But then, when she's selling bracelets and stuff at our booth, she has a QR code, she's learning sales, she's learning communication, but it's all going to be native to her as she grows up, which we think is, the most valuable thing out of anything we're doing when we go on these conferences.
Yeah, definitely. Those skills are priceless. She won't see that as learning and education, but you can't really teach that in schools. You have to be out in the wild doing it, and doing it at a young age. When she's a teenager, should be miles ahead of people, of her peers and people that are older as well.
Yep, no, for sure. Speaking of, we haven't touched on it too much, but we've mentioned the meetup a couple of times. Maybe tell people a little bit about it. And is there, as far as families in general being involved in it, do you see more families or kids coming along, or just kind of general scope of how the Oxbit meetup operates?
So the meetup has changed for how it started. It does evolve and move around. So when I first started, we had at Oxford City Football Club, because at that point, Coin Corner were a major sponsor of the club, and obviously my son was around playing. I was then ended up coaching one of the second teams, so everything was kind of aligned. So we used to host it there, but again, everybody was invited. We had people from all different walks of life, but then we branched out. We went to different places. We tried different restaurants, but most recently we've had a pub in Oxford, the first pub to accept Bitcoin Lightning payments. We've had it there for the last, I think, 6 meetups, but it's also allowed us to go monthly. We used to be a quarterly meetup, so I started it back in 2022. Yes. Yeah, so yeah, just nearly coming up to nearly 3 years. Yes, 2022 we started it, and did it quarterly because I didn't think there would be enough people or desire to meet monthly, but now we have a good following, maybe about half a dozen of us to a dozen that meet up regularly, and we have a theme every month. This month's theme is going to ties in nicely with Bitcoin Pizza Day. So I always call it, and it all has a name, so it's the something one. This one is the pricey pizza one. So we're going to talk about Lazio's pizzas, 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. What are the price of pizzas now in Bitcoin value? Price, and what could they be in the future? These questions will then lead to our why. And one of the best ones we had Joe Bryan, who did the document, was the presentation. What's the problem?
Yeah, so Fiat Angelo. I can think of the name of the character, but
yeah, Fiatello. Yeah, he actually came to Oxford and delivered the presentation. And people came and asked questions, and we had lots of no coiners in the room that were like, I understand that's a problem. I didn't realize Bitcoin was a solution, or, I knew there's something was wrong, but Bitcoin's helped me understand that's why that's the problem. Yeah, having a theme each meetup is good, and it just allows me to interact with different people and say, well, this person's coming, or that person has been here, or have you thought about this topic we're talking about? This may interest you. And let people know it's a safe space for people to come and ask questions. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. Everybody's at different levels. It's
a beautiful thing.
Understanding.
Perfect. No, and I guess for anybody out there listening, because this can go around the world, if you're in the area, obviously take a look at when the next meetup is and pop in and say hi to everybody at the meetup if it happens to be at the same time as Pizza Day or any of the other. There you go.
Yeah,
shout out to Orange Pill to be able to find that one or any other meetup that you're looking for. It was always clear to me before this, but for those listening, I can probably tell you have a lot of passions between the football, the meetup, being a father. lots going on. Your professional job as a health and fitness coach. How do you find balance between it all and making sure that you're juggling it all and being able to have that work life structure that's good for you and most importantly your family and being there as a dad?
I hope this answers the question. When you mentioned that, how do I find balance? By me having Bitcoin underlie everything, so you'll see the Coach Carbon logo is now orange. It used to be red. I made a conscious decision a few years ago, go as a health, wealth, lifestyle coach. Having Bitcoin underlie everything, solid foundation, build everything on top of that, has allowed me to find a great synergy with everything I do. So the clothing range I started, the podcasts that I do, the fitness coaching, the Bitcoin borders, the meetup. That is my whole lifestyle. So I plan my days, my weeks, my months around those things. And my year is now panning out around major Bitcoin events. But my lifestyle is allowed me to be have different hats on that people can interact with me on, whether they understand Bitcoin or not. Underlying everything is Bitcoin philosophy, fundamentals, and principles, which is the solid base layer. The more you work with me, the more you speak with me, the more chance you'll probably have a chance to learn about it, understand that, and go, okay, I understand how that relates to Bitcoin, but I wouldn't have understood it if we hadn't discussed it or if we hadn't been living that certain lifestyle or going to that event or speaking to me in that way. So I think everyone that has a touch point with me has an opportunity to understand what Bitcoin is. And for me, I say to people, take the monetary side away from it. It's a technology, but it is an understanding of the world around us. So Bitcoin is hope, it is truth. However, I think you may understand it. I will try my best. If I can't, then I'll might direct you to somebody else who can. Maybe not the 10-part Sailor series straight away, but there's so much that has been done in the last 4 or 5 years that I can send to people. For example, your books. So many of your books I've given away to people as prizes. We've been to events and I have them out, and people look at them and oh, this is great. Um, the video that you mentioned that Sienna was in, send that to people. Different podcasts. It's like there's so many different mediums that are out there. There's no excuses now. There's no excuses to not be able to learn about Bitcoin. Some people may struggle to understand it because their angle or approach might be wrong, or the delivery maybe never be right, or might not be a right time. But there are no excuses to be able to learn more about it. There's so much out there, and it's free. It's free. People obviously you can pay to go to events, but everything I've learned for free. Like, what other education could offer that? And it's not just learning about Bitcoin; it's learning about the world,
Definitely.
philosophy, history, science, maths. I say to people pay thousands of
Yep.
pounds for this education that I've got from YouTube and reading a few books and listen to podcasts.
Yep, I know exactly what you're saying, and that's probably as the world keeps evolving. That's really the case for so many subjects. So whether it's Bitcoin or something else, if you're out there listening and you're interested in something, like Josiah said, so much of this is just open source knowledge that you could probably find with a little proof of work, being able to search for it. So don't limit that to anything that's a topic of discussion here. But if you're interested in learning about a subject, or your kids are, encourage them to search it out and find those resources to be able to become the subject matter experts. Or maybe they start learning about it and they realize it's not of interest and they move on to the next one. That's just as valuable. But yeah, search that content that's out there, and hopefully, like you mentioned, being able to share things. And um, our purpose for creating a show like this is hopefully to be able to have a series of interviews with like-minded parents that are out there that you could then share with others and have it be that entry-level stuff. It's not going to be overwhelming, like you said. You're not hearing Sailor talk about XYZ. That's probably going to just throw up some brick walls sometimes when you start going down those rabbit holes to the no corners or the pre corners. So, but yeah, there's so many resources out there about these topics. Go search them out, and people will find what they need. And as for you, as you kind of look ahead, circling back to Bitcoin ballers, what do you see as the future for it? Like, what's your hope and dream for how it all progresses over the coming years?
So I'm actually going through a process right now. I did an interview with the guys in Amsterdam for an Amsterdam conference from Connect the World, and they asked what Bitcoin Ballers is, and I said we are a decentralized team. I envisage people from all over the world individuals, peers, teams wearing the Bitcoin Ballers brand logo and playing in tournaments, playing with their friends and competing and sharing stats, but saying we are Bitcoin Ballers. And we're going through a process now of an entity in the UK that wants to play under the Bitcoin Ballers. They want to host a tournament. They would like me to be involved, but I'm a bit further away. So I said, yes, I'll do everything I can. I will come to the event. I'll do some coaching. I will share my games. But if you want to go off and play a tournament under the brand, that's fine. So we're just looking at that, how that can work. But as a decentralized team, I would encourage anyone to become a Bitcoin baller. Use what I've done, use the games to help people. So I know there's a guy called Kane who's doing some stuff in Suriname, who's asking questions. Can we play some of these games? Can we do some of the tests you've done? And what I would love to do is to be invited to those teams and just help out. And so the value that I give, the value I get back is, coach, do you want to come and play in this tournament or help this team or come and deliver this session and be invited to conferences and invited to tournaments for young people or even adult teams. And so that's how I envisage lots of different offsets of Bitcoin borders that are created at different block heights in different communities, but are using the ideas and even creating their own ideas and then sharing them with me that I could then utilize to help educate young people.
Beautiful. And knowing you, it'll all come to fruition. I meant to ask this question earlier, but do you have an idea of how many kids you've touched coming through the program over the years?
Great question. I would like to say, actually, I did try and work this out before we did the last event to celebrate 4 years. I think it'll be triple numbers in the hundreds. Not saying everybody has understood Bitcoin, but I'm saying touch points. People that have
Yeah.
played under the banner, entered a tournament with us, or seen us at an event and asked a question, or interacted with the page. Yeah, in the hundreds. What I would like in the next cycle, the next 4 years, is for that to be in the thousands and to be a network effect of people who know a Bitcoin boarder, who's talking about Bitcoin boarders, and they've become a Bitcoin boarder because they've gone to a park and with the football and done the peer-to-peer challenge and sent it to me, but without knowing who I am, or sent it to the Bitcoin borders page. That'd be an incredible next step. Seeing the network effect of Bitcoin borders.
And I mean, but even with the few hundred that you've touched already and reached, and it's still amazing work. So I commend you for it, and it's fun watching along. Before we get to the final two questions here, just pause for a moment to remind everybody, if you're watching, to visit SHAmory.com if you can. Take a look at our family-friendly Bitcoin products. We've got books, we've got a game, we've got everything between. We've got fun Bitcoin monster characters. There's something out there for you, and you're welcome to use code BFFShow for 10% off. So with that said, let's jump into these final two questions that everybody gets asked. So number one, a common saying in the Bitcoin space is Bitcoin is time. Another belief is that the scarcest asset the world has ever created is time. So playing off of that, what is the biggest gift of time that learning about Bitcoin has provided you and your family?
Oh, the biggest gift of time. You got me there. Biggest gift. I like to say the time spent. Yeah. So you mentioned about my family. The events that I've put on or events we've been to is time together that we wouldn't have had. That we probably would have been maybe in front of a screen or I don't know, just wasting time watching. I call them brainwash TV. But it's allowed us or allowed them to support me, but allow us to spend time together. And hopefully they will look back in a few years' time with fond memories and say, oh, that was a great time because we went to that place or we met these people or we understood this together, we learned this together. So yeah, the gift of time, I hope I've answered it well, is time together as a family that Bitcoin has allowed us.
Perfect question. Perfect answer to that question. And so let's get to that last one, which I know since you've been on Daniel's show before, you get the sense of where it came from, but similar tone, different question. If you had one Bitcoin to give each of your kids, at what age would you give them the keys and why?
There's got to be one answer, right?
There you go.
21ism in the UK, generally 21 you're seen as officially as an adult. I know 18 you're an adult, but at 21 you kind of seen, yeah, now you're a real proper adult. A lot of education, I think, comes to an end at that age, but I think it would be a great age to say, here's your first Bitcoin at age 21. You are responsible now show me what you can do.
Perfect. I can't remember if Daniel's answer and Lauren's was 21 or 23. It was one of the two. So we're in that same ballpark there. Well, it's been awesome to have you on the show, learning more about the family, telling everybody about Bitcoin Ballers, you know, being able to learn about the meetup. It's been a fun talk. Hope everybody enjoyed it. For those that are interested in connecting, where do you want to send them? Any last words to be able to make sure that people can reach you in case they're interested in supporting the work or submitting to the skills challenge and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, I'll share that in a second. But before I go, I just want to say thank you, Scott. Give you and your family flowers. Been supporters of what I've been doing for a long time, providing literature, sponsoring the latest event. We had your logo on all the materials that we did. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Of
In
course.
terms of following what I do, coachcarbon.life is my website. You'll find everything I do on there. But if you are a baller, doesn't matter your age, ability, try a challenge out. Check out the Instagram page, Bitcoin Ballers Academy. You'll find us on YouTube as well, Carbon TV or Carbon Channel TV. You'll find all the skills and challenges that you can watch and then try and recreate. And just send them to me on X, Instagram, Nosta, LinkedIn, all these platforms that we're on. Hopefully by next cycle, Nostra takes over and we only have one platform that people, not one platform, but one point of social media app that people use, platform that people can get onto. So people do use different clients, but yeah, all this posting on one and then saving on it works, posting on another. It's not very time savvy, shall I say. We're not using our time well.
Yes, I know the feeling all too well. So completely agree there. Perfect. Well, I will second all of that. For everybody listening, make sure you go follow Josias and the Ballers. You won't be disappointed, even if you just want to follow along and see the kids and their videos of doing the tricks. So whether you're interested in football or soccer, depending on where you are or not, give everybody a follow. Well, thanks everybody for watching or listening, depending on where you're at. And we will see you next time on the Bitcoin for Family show. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hi, thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a good review. And buy your kids some stuff at SHAmory.com today. Bye. 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 Bye.